everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you. This is Meha Bhardwaj Alter, and today we are talking about the face-off between the best team of this IPL, Gujarat Titans, and the worst team of the tournament, Delhi Capitals, at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. Gujarat Titans have been flying high with almost everything working perfectly for them as a team, whereas Delhi Capitals are lying languidly at the bottom of the ocean in a deep, dark space. And despite winning 2 games in the recent times, they know they will have their work cut out against Hardik Pandya and his mighty Titans. Can they find a way to win? I have Kushan Sarkar, senior sports journalist, who joins me here. And he's here to tell us what Ricky Ponting, Saurav Ganguly, Shane Watson, Ajit Agarkar and Praveen Amre are planning to get Delhi out of this mess. I also have Anand Vasu, who will double up as a professional lip reader to help us decipher what Virat Kohli and Kohli-Gambhir were saying to each other last night. Was it just a friendly call for a drink or something more? But let's get straight into it, gentlemen. We've got to begin with the match tonight, Gujarat Titans versus Delhi Capitals. It couldn't be more contrasting in a way, this match, Kushan, with Gujarat Titans. They are the team to beat in this tournament, and Delhi Capitals, who are still finding it difficult to register wins. They've got 2 on the record, but it's not going to be an easy task for David Warner and his team tonight.
Not only this match, Meha, I think Delhi Capitals will not have an easy time till 2025 when the next auction takes place. So if you're talking about debacle, it's not just about today. Even the 2024 season will be a debacle because there will be no mega auction. Until and unless there is another mega auction where they can build the Indian core from scratch, which at one point of time they had, it is very difficult for them to come back because, let's be honest and let's be and brutally at it, that this core of Indian players, say Prithvi Shaw, who has lost his form, who has the ability but has lost his form, the others are simply not good enough to win you 2 IPL matches each. So if that is the case, then possibly you don't expect Delhi to put up a semblance of fight. And I don't blame Saurav Ganguly or Ricky Ponting over here, simply because of the fact that these 2 were not involved in creating the Indian core. The Indian core was created by a group of talent scouts and the local domestic talent scouts. Some of them were I'm told were analytics experts and not exactly cricketers. But it's not that the cricketers who were there to do the talent scouting has also covered themselves in glory. So the result is whether it's a Sarfaraz Khan, whether it's a Aman Hakim Khan, whether it's a Ripple Patel, whether it's a Lalit Yadav, these are not your players who will win you. Like when you see a Jitesh Sharma, you feel that this guy is ready. This guy, you can blood him in. You see Yashasvi Jaiswal, you see a ready Indian domestic player. You can put them into the T20 team. Do you see anyone in the elite team? You don't. So 2025, Meha, you have to wait. So it's not about this match. They might win this match. They might win a match here and there. But this is not a team that can qualify for playoffs.
Absolutely. And I think the problem has also not just been this. This is not a new team. This is a team that has done well in the past in terms of what they've done with the auction and how they've performed in the IPL. But this time around, nothing seems to be clicking for Delhi Capitals. And what makes matters worse, Anand, is that you have someone like an Akshar Patel, and nobody in the world has any idea as to why he's been kept in the dugout when he should be out there in the middle trying to chase down a target for Delhi Capitals. Nobody knows. Given that he is really your second best batter, you still just, do not send him. And in the end, the result is Delhi losing to Sunrisers Hyderabad. I'm talking about the last game that they played. That was the question on everybody's mind. So it's not just their team on paper, the auction having gone wrong, but even tactically, they've been found weak.
Meha, we've been talking about this pretty much since the start of this IPL. I mean, forget about what's on paper. forget about reputations. You just look at what Akshar Patel has done with the bat for India in the last year and a half in different formats, and it's a complete no-brainer. He's batting up the order for the Indian team. He's often coming up the order in Test cricket, higher up than he is being sent by Delhi Capitals. There's just no explanation for this. I can understand if you had a team chock-a-block full of, heavy-duty top order performers. Say you're an RCB and you have 1, 2, 3 that are, your big guns. So there's no way you can squeeze someone in up the order. And perhaps just to break this, you send one of your more inexperienced players at 3. If in a team like that, if Akshar was coming in at 7, there would be some justification, especially if at least 50% of the results were coming their way. This is not the case. Delhi is losing pretty much everything they've played, apart from 2 games when they had a chance to get on a 3-game streak, but even that didn't happen. When the team's losing, when the top order isn't making runs, here you have a guy who's got the shots, who's got a proven track record in the recent past, and he's still not coming up the order. You can't blame talent scouts for that. You can't blame analysts for that. You have enough authority, senior figures in that coaching staff to put their foot down, even if the captain thinks otherwise, and say, look, let's give this 2 games. Let's give this 3 games. Let's give Akshar Patel a chance to perhaps change our fortunes. They haven't done that. And now I think it's going to be too little too late, even if they do.
Yeah. I think the other thing being also the fact that, even the big names are not firing. Prithvi Shaw, Kushan, we've seen what he's done for Delhi Capitals in the past seasons. You expect Prithvi Shaw to come out and bat well. He hasn't got going. Mitchell Marsh, another big name. Finally, he's among the runs. So that's a good sign, though. Has it come too late? That's something that we'll find out soon enough, because this is now they're getting into that zone where every match is a do-or-die match for Delhi Capitals. And like you said, they may not make it to the playoffs, but they still want to finish matches with wins under their belt this season as well. So much has gone wrong with them. Even with their bowling, there's been a problem there. Just the team hasn't clicked. And for the Indian uncapped players, it has only gotten worse, as you were just suggesting. So not only have they not got the right combination, the ones that they've got, they've not performed at all. There's one thing is being slightly inconsistent, and then there's another where you've just not got runs. Everybody is struggling all together. They're all in this sinking boat together, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, here I'll tell you something. Like what Anand Bhai was saying is absolutely correct, that why isn't Akshar batting up the order? But this was a question that was posed to Akshar during one of these defeats in Delhi, when we did a post-match press conference, and Akshar was asked this question, that why aren't you batting up the order? And he started giggling, that if I bat up the order, then there really no finisher left if I get out early. Then started laughing. Because Akshar Patel is, I can tell you, is one of the revelations. Like now with those youngsters coming with the tutored answers, like I stuck to my process and I played my natural game. When you ask them the process and the natural game, most of them won't be able to tell you what exactly. But this is a tutored thing where Akshar Patel comes in as a breath of fresh air. Like someone asked him that you had 6 bowlers, he said 5. Well, no, Rovman Powell. Well, Rovman Powell is the bowler. And then he started laughing and said, it's a good thing. I'll go and tell the team management that Rovman Powell is being considered as a bowler. And in front of 15 people, and after a match they have lost, but he has done well. But he is that kind of, we call it a bindas character. So when Akshar, or wo hasi mazak mein, it's like that funnily he'll tell you things. He will tell you things in just that he just wanted to tell you that, look, our team is so bad that if I bat up the order, there is no one to save you down the order. That is the first thing. About Prithvi Shaw, it's on a more serious note. Ricky Ponting, before the season starting press conference, said that Prithvi is batting like a dream. He probably felt that this will be Prithvi's breakthrough season. That probably everyone has that one breakthrough season in IPL, one wishes that they have. he thought, he envisaged this to be Prithvi's breakthrough season, and he probably, in fact, even after a couple of matches when Prithvi failed, he said that he's batting like $1 million in during the what do you call the net sessions.
Yeah.
So he didn't have any inkling that why isn't coming out in the match, and he gave him 6 chances. And after 6 chances, obviously, in a result-driven oriented industry like IPL,
Yeah.
that is as many chances that you can get. In 6 chances, you have not even scored 50 runs. Then you have to look at someone else, and probably that is one area of disappointment, that when Rishabh was not there, Prithvi probably needed to take a lot more responsibility and probably be there as one of those enforcers at the top. So Prithvi not doing well has also put pressure on Warner, who is not being able to play that natural game of his.
Yeah.
He is thinking that what if I also get out?
Yeah.
So that fear syndrome is not allowing him to play his natural game also, that you lose 3 players. Like you have picked Abhishek Porel. If you ask me, that was a very bad choice. Abhishek Porel is not a bad player. He's a good player. Mind it, he has had 650s. He's only 19, 20-year-old. He has 650s in Ranji Trophy.
Yeah.
But Abhishek Porel doesn't have the power game. Delhi had a guy called B. Vivek Singh, Birinder Vivek Singh, who played for Bengal and then for Railways, and also Lavneet Sisodia from Karnataka. These two were much better power hitters than Porel. They could have picked either Sisodia or they could have picked Vivek, who has a Syed Mustaq Ali Trophy 100 for Bengal, and can also bowl and can also keep. He can do all 3 things.
Are you on a hotline with Saurav Ganguly and with Ricky Ponting to suggest these changes to them, maybe for the next season?
No, I don't have the audacity.
Though I've got to ask you. No, I've got to ask you though that this is not going to be something that the owners would be happy with. I mean, this is not what they were expecting.
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
So I wonder how they're going to be approaching. Yeah, but I wonder how they're going to be approaching next season, because they've, when you look at coaching, and there's a director of cricket in Saurav Ganguly. I just named how many. They've got 2 different bowling coaches. There's Shane Watson out there, and yet they cannot really get a win. I wonder whether they'll continue with Ricky Ponting next season.
A very good question and a very relevant question. So let me put it this way. Like, you have to win 6 matches left. You have to win all 6. So you'll get 16 points and you're still in contention in theory. But this team doesn't look capable. Even if they beat Gujarat today, which doesn't look good, but T20, anything can happen. They can beat Gujarat and at least stay alive in the competition. But if you ask me, if they are not qualifying for the playoffs, which they won't, half of the support staff would be pruned next year. You won't see them. And I have a feeling that Ricky Ponting had been given 5 seasons. He came, I think, in 2019. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 5 seasons. So 5 seasons is a good enough time. So you will see that Australian contingent, Ricky Ponting, his right-hand man, James Hopes, and also Shane Watson. I don't see them next year if they are not qualifying for the playoffs, and for that you need 6 out of 6, Meha. So that's
so it is not going to be an easy task. You heard it first here, that in case they don't make it.
That is whatever a little bit I've spoken to people. This is the idea I get, but obviously you never know. Changes might happen at the top, but this is what is going to happen. You will see a Praveen Amre or Ajit Agarkar staying back.
Okay, so it's the Australian contingent that might get the axe.
They're talent scouts who have not played cricket, and a lot of questions being asked about the talent scout. There is one particular gentleman who is possibly the talent scout. He is also associated with a CPL team, and that CPL team, I believe, under his stewardship, has finished last and second last in last 2 CPL seasons. So I do not know. Proof of
doesn't inspire confidence. Doesn't inspire confidence in the way. In the way under him, the CPL, the teams finished last. But let's also talk about Gujarat Titans, Anand. Then the only worry right now for Gujarat Titans and their team is whether they are peaking too early, because everything seems to be falling in place for them. There's nothing. on a day, on a rare day when Rashid Khan ends up having a bad day, Noor Ahmed just steps in. Josh Little gets the wickets. It's a team that's it's working like a well-oiled machinery, and whoever they put in ends up scoring runs, ends up getting wickets.
Well, I think the Gujarat Titans have all that's right about what you need in an IPL team as much as Delhi has all that's wrong in an IPL team. In the sense, when you're building a squad, what you're looking at is first your 11. You need to nail down your 11 and then remember that this is a long tournament. People are going to lose form. People are going to get injured. Some might even go away for other commitments. With that in mind, you need to have replacements for virtually 4 or 5 spots in that 11.
Yeah.
Which means you need to have kind of a shadow team. I'm not saying you replace your core group of players. If RCB loses Virat Kohli, there's no one on the bench to step up and kind of take his place. But when you have a situation where a domestic Indian player is not performing to the level you expected, you need to have a backup. If you have an Indian spinner who's doing strongly for you, who suddenly gets injured, you need to be able to shuffle your combination. So you bring in an overseas spinner perhaps from your bench and then get an Indian medium pacer to step up. Now, Gujarat have every base covered, literally. You can, on any given day, if they pick their 11, you or I could go to them and strike out 2 or 3 players, put 3 in, and they're still going to do very well. That's because they got their planning bang on. And I think that's also because they have a captain who's understood the rhythm and the pace of T20 cricket so well. He's not perhaps playing at that frenetic pace that he used to before, but he understands that he needs to play the situation in front of him. He understands that even if he doesn't necessarily score 50 in 25 balls, he has a big role to play in controlling where the game goes. And I think, there's a sense of calm when the Gujarat Titans are playing. Of course, that also comes with winning matches. It's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, you might say. But when you trust in yourself, when you trust in your players, when you have a proper process in place, even though Kushan may object to the use of that word, the results generally do follow over a period of time.
Yeah. Well, I think the only restless person in that Gujarat Titans dugout is Ashish Nehra. I think he's the only one always suggesting things from the sidelines, always trying to tell Hardik what to do next. So he's the one restless one, but I think he's also someone who's given some of the younger players a lot of confidence in how they should approach their batting or their bowling. It does look like a very well settled side. The question being whether they're peaking too early. Is that something that they should be worried about? But the one thing that stands out about Gujarat Titans, Kushan, and which is what stands out about Rajasthan Royals, is the kind of impact your openers can make in this format. You can have, different ways of approaching this. You can have newer methods of approaching T20 cricket. But there's one thing which is very straightforward: power plays and the impact of openers. You see Yashasvi Jaiswal doing a great job along with Jos Butler. And similarly, in this case, Wriddhiman Saha is the weak link, but Shubman Gill is making up for all that Wriddhiman Saha is not doing.
But Meha, let me tell you this, and this is not because I have a Bengal bias, but Wriddhiman is doing his job. Like in power plays, in most of the matches, if he is required to hit those 4 or 5 boundaries, he is a player whose game is not a power. It's a timing-based game, so he is best suited at the top. And he's probably, there was a statistic we were being told that he is probably among the 3 players apart from Virendra Sehwag and probably David Warner. I can't recollect the second name, who have scored more than 1,000 runs as openers in power play. These are rare statistics. So Wriddhiman, as always, flows under the radar, and I believe he is the perfect complement, perfect foil for Shubman. I do not know whether today he is going to play or not, if they are going to use anyone else because of his dry run. But I believe, as Anand Bhai said, that what exactly strikes with Gujarat Titans is that Ashish Nehra is basically Mahendra Singh Dhoni in metaverse. in an alteration. He basically understands that CSK ethos and the CSK culture, and he's trying to imbibe that. Do you see the owners of Gujarat Titans anywhere in the frame? You don't. Just like you don't see Mr. Srinivasan
Absolutely.
on television camera. You don't see. They are CVC. That's a group. That's a company basically. But you don't see the owners or their venture capitalists or whoever the people who are in charge. That is number one. They have given the full cricketing authority to the cricketers,
Yeah.
just like CSK has done it. Ashish Nehra would often tell us that CSK is not a franchisee that was built in 2008. It was a franchisee that took shape because of its uh, relationship with cricket since 1970s, from the time when India Cements had so many teams playing in the various leagues.
Yes.
They understand how to handle cricketers, they understand the requirement of cricketers, and they understand what continuity and consistency means. And if you see Ashish Nehra, whatever you say, like he might be the funny man, he might come across as flippant, but
Yeah.
he is actually a piece of that CSK chip, which is fitted in that Gujarat Titans cog, and that is what is working. That old school CSK thing. You don't go by what social media is saying. You don't go by what 3 matches or 4 matches doing. You pick the right players, give them a
Absolutely.
run. Like some
Absolutely.
people are telling me that Ridhiman will not play today. I was hearing from some. I will not say that
Though,
it was a very that I checked on it. Like there were a
yeah.
lot of works I could check on it. They're saying, but we'll get to know in half an hour's time that whether he's playing or not. But if I believe Ashish Nehra will give Ridhiman Shah full chance. Until
Though,
and unless suddenly he feels that he needs to give KS Bharat a chance to get some game time before the World Test Championship final. I don't think that
though the jury is still out on that Bengali bias of yours. I think we should get Anand in and ask him whether he sees that bias, Anand. But jokes apart, Vijay Shankar, yes.
Can I just add one thing to that?
Huh.
With absolutely no Bengali bias, not something that I can be accused of. I would agree with Kushanda in that that Ridhiman Saha has done his job. And I'll explain why. If you think about it, Ridhiman Saha is actually the original impact player in the IPL. He's a batsman who can play like a proper batsman. He's someone who has all the shots. He's got big hundreds in domestic cricket. He's got runs in Test cricket. But he's not being used in that manner. He's being sent up the order, given the full license. That it doesn't matter if you throw your wicket away. It doesn't matter if you play only 3 balls, as long as you're trying to hit every one of those 3 balls. So,
Fair enough.
in the sense, he brings so much to the table with his wicket keeping that he's been told it's okay if you don't really make that many runs with the bat, but go for it. If it clicks, 20 runs in 6 balls, and then it just takes all the pressure away from the batsman at the other end. So I think Saha doesn't have big numbers to speak of, but he has role clarity and he's sticking to that role. And he can only do that if he knows that he has the backing of the management, which, as Kushanda points out, he does in this case.
Though, I mean, I think what would just end this conversation would be if he gets some big runs under his belt. But like you said, role clarity, good enough. And there's no Bengali bias. So that's been sorted. Well, let's talk about what else has worked for Gujarat Titans in terms of their batting. And then we'll also quickly move on to the other big topic of the day, Virat Kohli, Gambhir. So what else has worked for Gujarat Titans is their bowling, especially now they've got a 100% record chasing in this season. They won 3 out of 3 games and 1 out of 3 batting first. But their bowlers have also come good in Ahmedabad, especially the spinners, and they're up against a Delhi side who've lost most of their wickets to spinners. How do you see that playing out, Kushan?
If you ask me, the main issue here would be how Delhi approaches from over 7 to 15. That has been Delhi's Achilles heel in this edition of the IPL. That is my view. They have been losing matches over there. Obviously, apart from the fact that most of the matches they have lost 2 to 3 wickets in the power play, that is there. But like last match, they lost it between the overs 10 to 15. They lost it over there. So how you play the middle overs, that will be obviously be a big issue for them. And apart from the fact, but my main problem with this Delhi lineup is the fact that you cannot expect David Warner, Phil Salt, and Mitchell Marsh to play for you every day.
Yes.
Sarfaraz has to score that 50 of 30 balls.
Yes.
Or if you are going to play Ripple Patel, Ripple Patel has to score. And Aman Khan, I don't think is neither giving you anything, like you're playing him as an impact batsman, but nothing shows that there is any kind of impact in his game as such. So as Anand Bhai said, that probably you have to put Akshar up the order. That is the only thing. But then again, there are no guarantees. If Akshar gets out early, then who's there towards the end, and who is there who can make that impact? Do you have enough players to make that impact? And that is the question. And in Motera, probably I would say that at least a total of 180. But I don't see, apart from the fact the last match when they scored 188 or something, chasing 197, they have not crossed 170 in any of the matches, or 175 in any of the matches.
Yeah.
So they are not batting well as a unit. So it would be very difficult. Like I don't know, from if someone plays, if Mitchell Marsh today plays a 45 ball 100, scores a 45 ball 100 or 50 ball 100, you don't know.
Yeah.
Or a David Warner has that David Warner kind of a day.
Yeah, true.
For that, someone else needs to stand at the other end also.
Yes, but I mean, I'm just going to also take this conversation to Gujarat Titans and how they are doing with the bat and the ball. We've already spoken about how batting has been good, but bowling, that's what I asked you, and I'm going to put that to Anand as well. Anand, Mohammad Shami, bowling beautifully. Again, the comparison, we talked about Mohammad Siraj for Royal Challengers Bangalore and how it augurs well for India in a year where they're playing the ODI World Cup, they're playing the World Test Championships. Similarly for Mohammad Shami, he's bowling just as well, taking crucial wickets in the power play. And then, you know, you have Rashid Khan, who I think last match was the only match this season where he's got hit for runs. He struggled, but then they had, like I said, Noor Ahmed and Josh Little, who came in and helped the bowling unit out. But they've got everything sorted, even when it comes to, you know, you look at Mohit Sharma, how well he is bowling for them. So they've got it all sorted out. I mean, they really don't have problems when it comes to their bowling.
No, absolutely no problems. Nothing to worry about on that count. And I think also one of the nice things to see is, you know, Mohammad Shami and Mohammad Siraj might be doing similar roles at the top of the order, but one guy seems very relaxed. One guy is smiling all the time. The other guy seems a bit tense. And I think in cricket generally, in the long run, the calmer approach tends to work for a majority of cricketers. Of course, Shami is someone who's at the top of his skills. I mean, he's really up there. There have been doubts even recently whether he fits in the 50-over scheme of things, whether he fits in the 20-over scheme of things. For me, it's a complete no-brainer, especially with Jasprit Bumrah not around for the Indian team. He's got to be looked at as one of your premier, skillful, wicket-taking bowlers. And the other thing, so many players picking up injuries left, right, and center, hardly bowling, hardly playing games. And Shami is a guy who doesn't hit the gym. He likes to bowl long overs. He likes to spend an hour bowling purposeful overs in the nets. He doesn't run round and round the ground, you know, kind of trying to catch the coach's eye and show how sincere he is at his fitness work. He gets his fitness through his bowling. Here's a cricketer who knows exactly what he knows to do, what he needs to do to succeed and deliver for his team. And he's delivering day in and day out. Coming to Rashid Khan, I think, although this might sound a bit silly, he would be the happiest that he got hit in the last match. His problem in the last few years has been that batsmen are playing so carefully against him. They are playing 50-over cricket in a 20-over game against him. They're just playing him out. They're looking to play out his 4 overs and therefore he's not getting the wickets that he used to before. In this game, once you start attacking Rashid Khan, especially in a ground like Ahmedabad, where the boundaries are and the pitch can sometimes hold a little bit, he's going to get wickets. He's going to get wickets with his googly. He's going to get batsmen getting under the ball and caught in the deep. Rashid Khan will be quite happy that batsmen took him on, and he'll want that to happen more and more, because that's where he gets his wickets.
Okay. With that, we'll move on to the next big talking point of the day. If you were already asleep last night after the match between Royal Challengers Bangalore and Lucknow Super Giants, a lot happened just before the post-match presentation and just right after the last ball was bowled. That has led us to this question that we're asking you today. When it comes to cricket, can it still be called a gentleman's game in today's times? If you've been following what happened between Virat Kohli and Kohli-Gambhir after Royal Challengers Bangalore beat Lucknow Super Giants in what many are calling a grudge match, you would change your mind. The scenes after the match were scenes one has never seen before in the history of the IPL. There have been other instances, but not this bad. On one side of the ring was Virat Kohli, who had been his animated best throughout the game and became even more theatrical once RCB looked close to defending their small total of 126. He was shushing the crowd in retaliation to what Kohli-Gambhir did in their last meeting in Bangalore. On the other side of the ring was Kohli-Gambhir, as I mentioned, who was already upset with his team losing, and he had had enough of Virat Kohli's antics. So, as they came to shaking hands post-match, there were words exchanged between Naveen-ul-Haq and Virat Kohli. There's a backstory to it. We'll come to that as well. After which, Kohli was, or Kohli-Gambhir in fact, pulled Kyle Mayers away, his teammate away from Kohli while they were trying to chat. And then what you saw was mayhem. Gambhir came to Virat Kohli aggressively. They both got into an altercation before Amit Mishra, who had a very busy night in fact, and KL Rahul and the other players of the team, they separated them. The IPL penalized both Virat Kohli and Kohli-Gambhir by fining them 100% of their match fees. Naveen-ul-Haq was fined 50% of his match fee, and these two gentlemen were found guilty of breaching IPL's code of conduct. They admitted to the level 2 offence under Article 2.21 of that IPL's code of conduct. And social media has been abuzz since last night. There are varying views, there are questions about who should be blamed, who started it, who finished it, who is right, who is wrong. So let me get straight to the two gentlemen on our show, and let me begin with Anand. Anand, your first reaction. I mean, we've seen the slapgate. We've seen the incident between Srishant and between Harbhajan Singh, and in fact Harbhajan Singh on one of the channels has apologized for that incident and has said that he expects more out of Virat Kohli in the way he acted. But I mean, we're not talking about some obscure league, some unknown players. These are two legendary cricketers, former captains, World Cup winners who are out there. I mean, Virat Kohli is the biggest role model for children in this country, clearly crossing the line. How do you see this?
I wish I hadn't seen it. It's one of those things that you can't unsee once you've seen it. It has no place in the game. This is not about being emotional, passionate. All those things are welcome. This is about, frankly, just boorish behavior. I'm sure there's plenty of blame on both sides. Now, you started this segment off by asking about whether cricket can still be called a gentleman's game. Now, I don't think the game can carry that burden, or that it has very well even in the past. I mean, just from living memory, there's Michael Holding flattening the stumps. There's Dennis Lilly charging Javed Miandar with a stump in hand and Javed going back with a bat. Mike Gatting getting in Shakur Rana's face. It's not like there haven't been ugly scenes in cricket. But now you have 30 high-def cameras and you have a hell of a lot more people in their homes watching frame by frame, capturing everything and replaying it. So this the certainty of getting caught in doing something has increased. And what's really disappointing for me is the fines that have come through. Now, I read this very interesting case study about fine system in America, where when children had to be picked up from schools or daycare, they were given a 15-minute or 20-minute grace period time for the parents to come and get them, and if they didn't, they were fined, X amount. But that fine amount was so small that what happened was that instead of deterring anyone, everyone just came 20 minutes late and happily paid the fine. So if you want a fine to be a punishment to be an actual deterrent, it has to hurt the players. Anything short of banning players from playing a match or two is not going to hurt them. Firstly, we don't even know what they mean when they say 100% of Gautam Gambhir's match fee, him being a coach. We have no idea what his actual pay structure is. We do have better clarity with Virat Kohli because we know at least what amount was deducted from the auction purse in purchasing his services. But even in that case, from experience, what I know is most IPL teams, and Kushanda can correct me if I'm wrong, IPL teams generally pick up the fines for the players. It's not the players who actually go out of pocket in these cases. So I think there's blame on both sides. I don't think this adds great spectacle to the game. This game is good enough, fun enough, exciting enough, fast enough, colorful enough, loud enough, everything basically that we were told by the marketing gurus that modern fans want, without having to come down to, say, WWE levels. I don't think that's what anyone wants to see. And what's equally saddening is that these guys are teammates. They've been teammates from state level, from India level, they've won games together. Gautam Gambhir, after a one-day international, gave away his man of the match award to Virat Kohli. We know there's blood between the two, and relationships break down and things change over the years. But there's no room for this level of disrespect, I think, among teammates. Whatever your differences are, if you had to settle them, get a room.
Yeah. Buy each other a drink. I mean, sort it out. You're grown-ups. You're not 21-year-olds, who just have to show this one-upmanship over the other. Also, like Anand was saying, Kushan, the deterrent. Does this fine become a deterrent really? Does this set a precedent? Will they not do it again? Will this not be repeated? That's the other big question. Is it time to introduce penalty cards like in football? Red card, yellow cards. You're suspended if you get a red card. One bad behavior, a yellow card. Is that something that cricket should be looking at as well seriously, especially a league like IPL? Because at the end of the day, this is also brand value which is getting affected by this.
Oh yeah, high time. Because at least in international cricket, there is suspension, there is match suspension we have seen. But in IPL, we do not see the match suspensions happening apart from that Harbhajan Singh Srishant, because that was a physical abuse. That was a straight away, he slapped Srishant and got a 13 match. Like he lost the entire, after first two matches, he didn't play any matches in that IPL one. But if you ask me, yes, you know my view. Like we had a show in the morning where we were speaking about it, and I believe that red and yellow cards are the need of the hour. You need that expulsion, if something like that. And for a coach, probably 3 matches not in the dugout, coach or a mentor, not in the dugout for 3 matches. You cannot be there, and obviously you cannot use the relay system or any remote system. So you shouldn't be in the dressing room. You might sit in the gallery, but you cannot sit either in the dressing room or in the dugout. Something like that is going to happen. And as Anand Bhai said, that this is not something that you enjoy. And this is, if they do this from here, you see a Hrithik Shaukin and a Nitish Rana, also from the Delhi stable, repeating that. And if you tell them that, why are you doing it? We've seen our seniors do this.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Hrithik Shaukin and Nitish Rana, the incident, if you remember, there you saw Rana, you could lip read virtually what Rana actually told Shoki. And obviously there was a trigger. Rana is also not a person that will just be a raging bull and say something. Obviously there was a trigger, which we do not know. Like in this case also, like before taking sides, because these two have immense social media following. One is also happens to be a lawmaker for the ruling party. So people normally, because of their likes and dislikes, they tend to take sides, but you cannot take sides in matters like this. And whatever little, like, I can say that whatever I heard at the conversations that happened, I found it to be very juvenile, and probably the conversations that happened between the two during
What
the
happened?
altercation was juvenile.
What happened?
It was like I believe that it started. The trigger was that Kyle Myers went up and wanted to ask. Kyle Myers and Virat Kohli are not having a basically a cricketing conversation. Kyle Myers had gone there to ask that why was Virat so aggressive, and probably Virat said something, and Gautam Gambhir, who was in the nearby vicinity, pulled him, and from there it was like free for all kind of a situation happened. Thanks to KL Rahul's
And Amit Mishra.
I believe good, and Amit Mishra's good judgment, and also don't forget Vijay Dahiya.
Yeah.
He was also there. He also pushed them and doused the fire. So these are people. These are people who know that, especially Dahiya and Mishra, they are domestic veterans. They have seen Delhi cricket. Like Mishra might play for Haryana, but he has played all his club cricket in Delhi and all. So these people know these bust-up scenes and how things can really spiral from one end to the other. So I think
I mean, it can completely spiral out of control. This can get ugly very soon.
This can spiral out of control, and also the fact that who would you blame? Like I'll tell you a simple thing. Like someone close to Gautam Gambhir, his political secretary, has put out a tweet that why is Gambhir Kohli, please show some class and ask your trolls not to abuse Gambhir's daughter. Do you really think that Kohli has done such thing? Kohli is not that petty. Yes, he can be aggressive, he can be in your face, and he can be boorish at times, things that you won't like. But do you think Kohli will stoop to such a level?
Yeah, but I also think we live in these times where this just spirals out of control. This incident happened last night. Exactly, this happened last night, but you can see those visuals again and again, frame by frame. नया एक विजुअल आ गया है where Virat Kohli is showing his shoe to Naveen ul Haq, and Virat Kohli is one who will not take it lying down. We've seen what he does with the Australians. We've seen what he's done.
But do we know?
No, we don't know.
That
no, we don't know.
Was Virat Kohli? Why was Virat Kohli pointing the shoe at? Like
nobody
Virat Kohli
knows.
Has put out. Like you only showed it after you showed it on in the morning show. I came to know about it, his Instagram story, where he has spoken about perspective is not always fact.
Yes.
Yes, quoting a Roman emperor of the 160th AD. Obviously,
also, I'm sorry, but it's very clear what is a fact. Fact is that you went out there and behaved in a manner that you shouldn't have as a cricketer, as a role model. Absolutely. There is no denying that. You can philosophize it, you can, intellectualize it. At the end of the day, instigator or instigated, if you get into any kind of altercation like the one that we saw last night, it is not okay. You may justify it in whichever way. Anand, I'm going to get your thoughts on this. You may justify it in however way you want to. Bottom line is that you shouldn't have done it. There's a sitting MP, Gautam Gambhir, World Cup winner. And we still remember that wonderful innings he played in 2011 World Cup final. I mean, so much respect for the man, but you really don't expect him to behave like that. And then there is, of course, Virat Kohli. And I know Virat Kohli fans are going to come out and say that, oh, this is like a grudge. He was just giving it back because of how Gautam Gambhir behaved in the last game they played at the Chinnaswamy. Come on, nothing justifies getting out of control like that. Virat Kohli is not 21 years old. Stop celebrating in the way that you were doing. Robin Uthappa has come out and spoken about it. And no one can take away from the fact that you are one of the greatest who's playing this game. Yes, Anand, let me just get Anand in, and then I'll come to you, Kushan. No, sir, see, that's the Twitter, that's the Instagram story he posted. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Anand, like I said, Marcus Aurelius, like I said, you can you can put all of this out. It looks good on your Insta story, but there are kids who are seeing this and are saying, "Acha, koi fark nahi padta hai." Gentleman, who's expecting Kohli to be a gentleman? We don't like him as a gentleman. We admire Kohli for who he is. Maybe it's time he needs to tone it down. He's got a daughter of his own as well. Anand?
Yes, well, see, in sport, in high intensity sport, there are things that can happen in the heat of a moment where you lose your cool. This has happened with the best of players in the world, but they very quickly realize that they've made a mistake. Or perhaps it takes a day. Perhaps in the calm quiet of their homes or their dressing or their hotel rooms, hours later, they realize that they've messed up. And then they put their hand up and apologize. You don't double down on behavior like this, saying, this is why I did it. No, he provoked me. No, this was because what happened in the last game. I think that's just kind of showing that you think what happened is acceptable in some way. And it's not acceptable. At least everyone must come together and say, this is not acceptable. And my first instinct yesterday was, you're never really going to get to the bottom of who started what, who finished it. So the only real justice, I think, would have been a one-match ban for each of the two parties involved. But again, that's also not that's also skewed in a certain sense because one's a coach or part of the coaching staff, and if he's not there, it doesn't really make that much of a difference to the team. So we need to think a little bit further, think a little bit more about this. And I think Kohli, as a player as well, needs to think more about this because if he cops a ban, that's pretty much 1/3 of RCB's batting. No disrespect intended to any of the other players out of the window. It's going to hurt RCB. Whereas if Gambhir is away for a game, there's others who can pick up the slack. So I think we need to get stricter deterrents in place, and we also, as a cricket-consuming public, need to say this is not on. We don't want to see this. That this is rubbish. This is adding to our excitement. It is not. I am not any less of a Kohli fan or a Gambhir fan if I expect them to behave better. It is not about backing one player against the other. Because today it's Kohli and Gambhir, tomorrow it could be two completely different players. I don't think it's about taking sides in that sense. It's just, stepping back and saying, this is unacceptable, we don't want it, please don't do this.
Absolutely.
And if you don't listen,
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. Saying, we ask that you please don't do this, but if that's not adhered to, then you put in systems in place that come with serious consequences when you behave in this.
Absolutely. Stringent laws have to be put against these brawls and altercation because what we saw was ugly. Kushan, you wanted to say something when we were in the middle of a conversation. It's time for us to wrap it up. Jess, go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to say that what happens is that you always carry a lot of baggage. And this baggage it has been accrued over the years, probably with Gautam Gambhir, when you see probably that feeling that whether it's a 75 or that 97 hasn't given him the place among the pantheons of greats which he deserves. He feels it that way. I feel that he deserves that place because he is the hero of 2 World Cup finals.
Absolutely.
But probably he feels it that way, and from there is a grudge that comes in. And by the time the 2013 thing when it happened, Kohli was just becoming a superstar. He was on his way to superstardom, and Gambhir by that time India's stocks were down. So you have to understand from where it is coming. And then Gambhir became a TV pundit. He has been a vocal critic of Kohli's captaincy or his batting in the T20s. So everything adds up, and that is why you see Kohli has said that if you cannot take it, then don't give it. So, but again, what happens after that is, Neha, I'll take 20 seconds. You go to the RCB video. You will see their social media content team is interviewing. Did you see Virat's aggression?
Absolutely.
Did you like it? Now, this is the same man who was talking about that he was faking aggression at one time. He had given that interview to an official broadcaster that how he felt that he was faking aggression
Yes.
during a time when he was going through a low score. He started aggression at also at time. Yes, there is adrenaline, but this aggression also at times feels like a bit of a
Needs
put
to
on.
tone it down. Needs to tone it down. You
Yeah.
don't need it. I mean, you know, the other thing being, and I'm going to wrap this up, gentlemen, this has been a fantastic discussion, but the other thing being, there are other cricketers, great cricketers, who haven't had to do this. I mean, I know that some people would turn around and say these are different temperaments or different cricketers, but look at MS Dhoni. Look at Sachin Tendulkar. I mean, I have never seen Sachin Tendulkar knowingly put a foot wrong in front of people. Sometimes to the extent that I think this was one thing we all had, you know, we used to complain about, Anand and Kushan will agree, that you know, he just doesn't say anything controversial. Can we get something controversial out of Sachin Tendulkar? And he didn't, because he knew the responsibility he had as the greatest, you know, to have played the game, to not do something like that. And I just feel that hopefully the youth of this country is still looking at icons as role models, you know, as MS Dhoni and Sachin Tendulkar. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much, Anand and Kushan, for taking the time out. Thank you for this brilliant discussion. There you have it. So there is a match on. Yes, we've been talking about Virat Kohli and Kohli-Gambhir, the spat, and whether there should be stringent measures. There should be stringent laws in place which will act as a deterrent, really, to make sure that this kind of scene is not repeated again. But there is a match on today, like I said, between Gujarat Titans and Delhi Capitals. One team right at the top of the points table, the other tottering at the bottom. Can Delhi Capitals find it in themselves to beat the mighty Gujarat Titans? That's it. We say goodbye. News 9 Live is what you need to subscribe to for all the latest from the world of sports. Thanks for watching.